In October of 1907, Raymond left his family to begin life as a Franciscan. He became Friar Maxmilian on the 4th of September, 1910. And on November the 1st, 1914, he made his final vows. After his ordination, he wrote, "For the future, therefore, I place all my trust in Mother Mary." His spiritual director testified, "Never in my life have I met anyone who loved the Madonna more than Father Kolbe. He was a true son of Mary."
This man, who was seriously sick most of his life, had the might of an army and the determination of a general. But when the friars sang, "I will go to see her one day," he became a child again. However, this was not the time for children. Dreamer of dreams, apostle and zealot, it was Catholic Camelot, and he was to be her Knight of the Immaculata. He shared with his closest companions his dream of an army which would defend the Immaculata, her son, and his church. January 1917, Father Kolbe and his 6 knights knelt before the Immaculata's altar and consecrated themselves to Mary. The Militia Immaculata was officially founded. Their magazine, The Knight of the Immaculata, was part of the dream right from the very beginning. Mary was calling them to make her name known through communication.
Not even landing in the hospital with tuberculosis could stop Father Kolbe. He'd walk through the wards preaching, reaching Catholics and non-Catholics alike.
Father Kolbe was released from the hospital April 1921 and started up his first publication of the Knights of the Immaculata 8 months later. They immediately had money problems. His superior had given permission but took it back. Father Kolbe begged, "Father Provincial, just give me the permission, I'll find the money." When it looked as if his first publication was to be his last, some priests made a very sizable little donation. With that, Father was able to cover half the cost. Back he went on his knees. As he started to leave, he spotted an envelope on the altar with the writing, "For you, Immaculate Mother." Inside was the exact money he needed. During the first year, they had to change printers 5 times. Strikes held up delivery. The price kept going up. Father Kolbe had a thought. He'd open a print shop in the friary. Next thing you know, Father Kolbe needed larger facilities. A prince offered some acreage to Father, who immediately placed a statue of the Immaculata on it. There was a little encounter that Maxmilian Kolbe had with the prince.
It was supposed to be no cost, no deals, no strings attached. And the prince agreed to that, but then just as they were getting ready to formalize the deal, he said, "I want masses celebrated for me here."
His superior had made that condition. Nothing, not a penny was to be paid for the land. In no way, no recompense. So he told the prince, "I'm sorry.
We can't do that.
It cannot be done. It must be freely given." So the prince said, "Well then, forget about it." And so Maxmilian Kolbe turned to our Blessed Mother and he said, "Well," he said, "she let me down. But it's the first time that you ever let me down." And suddenly the prince looked at Maxmilian Kolbe and all he saw was a little boy who was hurt, who was disappointed with his mother. And he let him have the land.
The city of the Immaculata, as it became known, began with 2 priests and 18 brothers. They chopped their way through dense forest, using its wood to build a chapel, dormitories, huts for the equipment, workrooms, and offices. The Polish winter came too soon. Days were long and work endless, but as they were of one mind, one heart, and one vision, the struggling and suffering only made them stronger and more determined. They sweat together, they cried and laughed together. They were brothers, they became community.
Their provincial jokingly told Father he needed more priors, he'd have to build a seminary. Father began building immediately. The provincial was upset. Father had taken him seriously, but it was too late. The announcement was in the night of the Immaculata. Letters poured in. Men of all ages, from all walks of life, wanted to come and give their lives. Building after building was added. The prince gave them more land. The friars grew from 20 to 800. and the Immaculata became the largest religious community in the world. During the first 5 years, they added a college, a novitiate, a friary, a hospital with 100 beds, an electrical power plant, and a fire department. Communication was on the move. They added a radio station. The work was to go worldwide. They built an airport.
The circulation of the Knights of the Immaculata swelled to 1 million copies per issue. It was exciting. But with success comes envy. A canon needled, what would St. Francis say if he was still living, seeing these expensive machines? Father Kolbe retorted he would roll up his sleeves and, speeding up the machines as much as possible, he would work like these good brothers to diffuse the glory of God and the Immaculata with the most modern means.